Today, you can spend tens of thousands of dollars on a new tractor, or you can find 60s iron horses that still run like the day they left the factory. And guess what? Many of those classic tractors are still around, ready to roll and get back on the track. Today, we're going to take a look at the top 7 60s tractors you can still buy and work on today. And trust me, number 1 on this list might make you want to restart your entire growing season just to drive it. Number 7, the Oliver 1650. The Oliver 1650, built from 1964 to 1969, a machine that perfectly balanced power, comfort, and good old American craftsmanship. This tractor came from an era when Oliver was still proudly independent, before being folded into the white name. And you can feel that independence in every inch of steel on this tractor. Under the hood sat a Waukesha-built 6-cylinder engine pushing around 70 horses, strong, steady, and surprisingly smooth. Farmers loved how easy it was to start, even on those cold Midwest mornings. The transmission was simple, reliable, and gave you the kind of control that just felt right. You could shift down on the fly, feel that pull in your chest, and know you were moving something that mattered. Another reason the 1650 stands out, it was comfortable. The seat sat high, visibility was excellent, and the controls were placed just where your hands expected them to be. For older farmers, that kind of thoughtfulness meant fewer sore backs and longer days in the field. Now, let's talk about price. A clean, running Oliver 1650 can still be found today in the $6,000 to $12,000 range, depending on condition. That's not bad for a piece of history that still earns its keep. Parts are out there, maybe not as common as John Deere or Case, but easy enough to find if you know your local dealer or an old Oliver mechanic. And then there's the nostalgia, the smell of warm diesel and cut hay in the summer air. For many Midwestern farmers, the Oliver 1650 isn't just a tractor, it's a memory. It's Grandpa's field, it's the first harvest you remember, it's the sound of home. If you're thinking about buying one, here's a quick tip. Check the hydraulics carefully, these systems can leak with age. Make sure the power steering feels tight, and listen for any knocking in the Waukesha engine. But if you find a solid one, don't hesitate. These tractors were made to outlive trends, and sometimes, even outlive their owners. The Oliver 1650 may not be the loudest name on the list, but it represents everything good about 60s era tractors, strong, honest, and built with pride. But the tractor coming up next, that's the one that took raw power to a whole new level. Number 6, the Allis-Chalmers D21. When this tractor hit the market in 1963, it wasn't just another machine. It was a statement. It was the first Allis-Chalmers to break the 100 horsepower barrier, and that alone made it legendary. Under the hood sat a 7.0-liter turbocharged diesel, a powerhouse that delivered raw torque like few machines of its era. With over 100 horses ready to go, it pulled heavy plows, big discs, and grain wagons without breaking a sweat. The D21 didn't just work, it dominated the field. But what farmers really loved was its feel. The high, wide seat gave the driver a commanding view. You sat tall, you could see everything around you, and you felt like you were in charge. The clutch was smooth, the power was steady, and that diesel rumble, deep and proud. It wasn't the quietest tractor, but it sure sounded like power. Now, as for the price, you can still find D21s in good working order for around $8,000 to $15,000, depending on condition. Restored models can go higher, especially if they're in that classic orange and white finish. And the best part? Allis-Chalmers parts are still floating around, thanks to collectors and loyal fans who've kept the brand spirit alive. For anyone looking to own a D21 today, here's some advice: check the turbo and cooling system first. Those big engines can run hot under a heavy load, and proper maintenance makes all the difference. Also, look over the rear end and transmission. These were strong, but decades of hard pulling can take their toll. Beyond the mechanics, though, the D21 carries something special: pride. For a lot of Midwestern farmers, owning one meant you had arrived. It meant you were serious about your land, about your work, and about doing things the right way. That's why so many of these old D21s are still parked in barns today, not forgotten, just waiting for the next sunny morning to roar back to life. The Allis-Chalmers D21 was bold, powerful, and ahead of its time, the kind of tractor that made neighbors stop and stare. But the one coming up next, that Case Comfort King, didn't just turn heads, it made every farmer want to take a seat on the throne. Number 5, the JI Case 930 Comfort King. When it rolled out in the early 60s, this machine represented a turning point for Case, a bold mix of power, innovation, and comfort that farmers hadn't seen before. Before the Comfort King, most tractors kept the driver low, tucked behind the engine. But Case decided to do things differently. They lifted the operator's platform high above the rear axle, giving farmers a clear, commanding view of the field. The moment you climbed up and took that seat, you felt like you were sitting on a throne, and that's exactly how it earned the nickname Comfort King. Under the hood was a 6-cylinder diesel engine, built for pure torque. Around 80 horsepower at the drawbar, steady, strong, and incredibly dependable. It didn't need to roar to show its strength, it just pulled, and pulled, and pulled some more. Whether it was heavy plowing in the Dakotas or hauling grain in the Iowa plains, the 930 did it with quiet confidence. Farmers loved how tough it was. The transmission was simple but rock solid. The rear end could handle real punishment. And because Case designed these machines to be easy to service, many are still running today, more than half a century later. On today's market, you can find a clean, working Case 930 for about $5,000 to $10,000, depending on condition. Restored versions, the ones shining like they just left the showroom, can go for a bit more, especially among collectors who appreciate that tall, iconic look. If you're thinking of buying one, here's a tip: check the hydraulics and PTO carefully, as years of heavy work can wear the seals. Also, inspect the clutch engagement. A smooth pull means it's been well cared for. And if you're lucky enough to find one with a working hour meter that still ticks, you've found something special. The Case 930 Comfort King was more than a tractor. It was a partner, loyal, tough, and built with pride from Racine, Wisconsin. Even now, it stands as one of the great American icons of the 60s, a machine that made farmers feel like kings of their fields. But the tractor coming up next, small, red, and full of heart, proved that you don't need size to earn respect. Sometimes, the little ones do the biggest jobs. Number 4, the Massey Ferguson 135. Built from 1964 all the way into the mid-70s, this little red workhorse became one of the most beloved utility tractors ever made. For thousands of farmers, especially across the Midwest, the 135 wasn't just a piece of equipment, it was part of the family. With around 38 to 45 horsepower, it handled mowing, plowing, grading, and even hauling wagons with ease. And that Perkins diesel engine, quiet, fuel-efficient, and nearly impossible to kill. Many owners will tell you, if it's got fuel and oil, it'll run forever. Massey Ferguson built the 135 with simplicity in mind. No complicated electronics, no unnecessary frills, just solid, dependable engineering. The 3-point hitch and live PTO made it incredibly versatile, and that's why you'll still see them running strong on small farms, orchards, and acreages across the heartland. One of the things people loved most about the 135 was how easy it was to live with. It started right up, even on a cold morning. The clutch felt smooth, the steering light, and visibility was excellent. You could work with it all day and still have the energy to sit on the porch afterward. For many farmers' sons, the MF 135 was the first tractor they ever drove, learning to steer, shift, and work the soil beside their dads or granddads. On today's market, the Massey Ferguson 135 remains one of the best bargains you can find. A good working diesel model typically goes for $4,000 to $8,000, and parts are still widely available. Many collectors even prefer the early UK-built versions for their durability and smooth performance. If you're shopping for one, look for tight steering, a clean hydraulic system, and solid PTO engagement. Avoid ones with heavy blow-by or transmission noise, but even if it needs some TLC, parts are cheap, and the community of MF fans is always ready to lend advice. It reminds us that not every machine needs to be massive or high-tech to earn respect. The Massey Ferguson 135, modest, reliable, and full of heart. A little red legend that still works as hard today as it did 60 years ago. But the tractor in the next spot wasn't just reliable, it was a force. A machine so powerful, it redefined what a farm tractor could be. Number 3, the Ford 5000. When it hit the scene in 1965, this blue and white beauty marked a big step forward for Ford. It wasn't just a refresh of their older lineup, it was a serious workhorse designed to handle bigger implements, longer days, and tougher jobs. Right from the start, the Ford 5000 earned a reputation for being strong, simple, and dependable. Powered by a 4-cylinder diesel engine, it delivered around 70 horsepower, which, for its time, was impressive for a mid-sized tractor. That power, combined with excellent torque, made it perfect for haying, plowing, and heavy field work across the Midwest. What farmers loved most was how easy the 5000 was to handle. It had power steering, live hydraulics, and a smooth 8-speed transmission that shifted cleanly, features that made long days in the field just a little easier. And the engine, well, it was one of Ford's best. It started easily, ran steady, and sipped fuel like a gentleman. Many farmers will tell you, you can work it hard all day, and it'll still be ready to go again tomorrow. Durability was the heart of the Ford 5000's legacy. The frame was tough, the rear end nearly bulletproof, and the hydraulics reliable even after decades. On today's used market, the Ford 5000 is one of the best values out there. Prices usually range from $6,000 to $12,000, depending on condition and whether it's been restored. Many collectors seek out the later models from the early 70s, which had improved hydraulics and dual power options, but even the early ones remain tough as nails. If you're thinking about picking one up, here's a quick tip: listen closely to the transmission and rear end during a test drive. A clean shift and steady pull mean it's been well maintained. Check the hydraulics, too. Ford's system was strong, but old seals can leak if they've sat too long. And, as always, make sure that Perkins-style diesel still fires up smooth and steady. The Ford 5000 wasn't just another tractor, it was a partner through seasons, through droughts, through change. And even now, when that diesel hums and the tires bite into fresh soil, it still reminds us of what honest hard work sounds like. But the machine in the next spot didn't just work the land, it transformed farming forever, setting a new standard for power and innovation. Number 2, the Farmall 560. When it arrived at the tail end of the 1950s, the 560 represented a new era for Farmall. It wasn't just another upgrade, it was the company's first true step into modern, high-horsepower farming. Under the hood, it came with options: gasoline, LP, or diesel, but the 6-cylinder diesel was the one that really stole the show. With around 60 drawbar horsepower, it had the muscle to handle 5-bottom plows, heavy discs, and big wagons. Farmers loved its smooth power delivery, and for many, it was the first time they felt what a modern tractor could truly do. What made the 560 special wasn't just its strength, it was the feel. It ran smooth, shifted clean, and gave you that confident sense that it could work from sunrise to sunset without complaint. The narrow front end made it agile in the field, while the rear end offered excellent traction. And when equipped with the fast hitch system, it became one of the most versatile machines of its time. Of course, old-timers still remember the early hiccups, the rear-end issues that gave Farmall a bit of trouble when the 560 first came out. But here's the thing, International Harvester didn't hide from it. They fixed the problem, improved the design, and those later models became rock solid. On today's used market, you can still find a good Farmall 560 for $4,000 to $8,000, depending on the condition. Restored versions, with that crisp red paint and silver grille gleaming, often sell for more at auctions and collector shows. Parts are easy to find, thanks to the massive number of units built and a loyal Farmall following that keeps them running strong. If you're thinking of owning one, here's a word of advice: check for rear-end upgrades, make sure the TA, torque amplifier, works properly, and listen for smooth gear shifts. If those boxes are checked, you've got yourself one of the best buys in vintage iron. There's something about that bright Farmall red, the way it glows under the summer sun, the way it sounds when that six-cylinder hums steady across the field. It's more than nostalgia, it's pride. Pride in American craftsmanship and hard work and the land itself. But the one that takes the top spot, oh, that green machine didn't just define the 60s, it redefined what a tractor could be for generations to come. Number 1. The John Deere 4020. When the 4020 rolled out in 1963, it didn't just raise the bar, it changed the game. John Deere's engineers didn't try to build a flashier tractor, they built a better one. Stronger, smarter, and easier to live with day after day. Under that long green hood sat a six-cylinder diesel engine that produced around 95 horsepower, smooth, quiet, and dependable. It had the power to pull heavy tillage equipment with ease, but what truly set it apart was how it delivered that power. The 4020 introduced the legendary power shift transmission, giving operators the freedom to shift on the go, no clutching, no jerks, just steady momentum. That was revolutionary back then, and it still feels smooth today. But beyond the specs and steel, the John Deere 4020 became something bigger, a legend. From Iowa cornfields to Kansas wheat country, you'd see that green and yellow silhouette on the horizon, steady and strong. It became part of the landscape, part of people's lives. Even today, more than half a century later, you can still find 4020s out there working. Some have over 10,000 hours on the clock and still fire up with a simple turn of the key. That's the kind of durability that built Deere's reputation, and it's why collectors and farmers alike still chase them at auctions. On today's market, a good John Deere 4020 will run you anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000, depending on condition and configuration. Power shift versions and diesels tend to bring a premium. And while they may not be cheap, there's a reason for that. They hold their value because they were built right the first time. If you're lucky enough to buy one, here's what to look for: a clean transmission, smooth hydraulics, and a strong PTO. Check the injector pump and rear axle seals, common wear spots after decades of work. But even if it needs a little love, the 4020's design is so simple and well documented that restoring one is a joy, not a chore. Ask any farmer over 60 what the best tractor ever made was, and 9 times out of 10, you'll hear the same answer: the 4020. It's not just nostalgia, it's respect. Respect for a machine that worked hard, lasted long, and never let you down. Because when it comes to the 60s, and maybe all of tractor history, the 4020 didn't just lead the pack, it became the benchmark every tractor since has tried to live up to. And there you have it, 7 classic tractors from the 1960s that prove good engineering never gets old. Each one has its own story, its own sound, and its own place in the hearts of farmers across America. These machines built memories, built harvests, and in many ways, built the very backbone of rural life. Tell us in the comments, which of these classics would you love to own, or which one still sits in your shed waiting for spring? Because when it comes to tractors like these, they don't just work the land, they live forever.